Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Rafiz from Institute of Business Management Science, University of Faistabad. Now, I am here to present one of my research paper in the workshop. The workshop is for education for climate change mitigation and resilience. And I'm really thankful to Professor Florent Nota as to providing me the opportunity to present my work here so I can contribute in society. So let's start. First of all, I will like to introduce the topic. The topic I have chosen for this workshop, financial structure and carbon emission in Asian polluted economies. So is there a role of digital infrastructure, is a role of innovation there? So this is the one of a paper which is finding a relationship between how digital infrastructure does matter. So this paper is already has been published. Now I would like to start regarding the presentation of what is the paper and what are the outcomes and how it is contributing. So this paper has been published in Environmental Technology Innovation. So our theme is about how the innovation is enhancing the green economy and how it will link with the financial structure, particularly with respect to the Asian economies. Let's start our topic. Our topic is about how financial structure and carbon emission in Asian economy, how they are responding the digital infrastructure, how they are responding the innovation. So as we know that the human activities is always produce the green gas emission or carbon emission, and they are increasing the other carbon pollution indicators such as carbon emissions, such as sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, and carbon monoxide, nitrate, and PM2.5, and then so many other indicator of pollution. So that's why the most contributor to containment environment CO2 emission. And CO2 emission is not only the responsible to create the global warming. There are other factors such as the drought, the floods, the melting the glacier, and severe weather condition. It also influence the carbon emission in the environment. So we need to think about how nationally, internationally, these kind of relationship happen. So due to this, many of researchers, they are interested to investigate the determinant of carbon emission, including such as industrialization, tourism, energy economy, clean technology, technological innovation, technology shocks, and many more. So that's why the financial system is really important in each economy, either the developing economy, developed economy, or what kind of phase or stages are emerging economies. So we have to identify how the environmental performance and fraction structure or financial development link with one another. So there are many studies which have been done to dig out what kind of relation they have, but most of have the mixed results. Some have a constructive, some have a destructive or positive or negative results. So that's why firstly we need to understand what kind of financial development have traits. As we know that the financial development can contribute an economy with respect to the two phases. The first phase is financial scale, and the other phase is financial structure. So most of the studies, they have used the financial scale. It means that they can measure a proxy, quantify the financial development with respect to the stock market, to GDP, or private credit to GDP, or domestic credit to GDP, or banking sector to GDP. So these are the indicators which have been used to measure the financial scale, and most of the studies, they have used it. And now there is other way how we can tackle around the financial development trait is a financial structure. So we have to identify what kind of financing, either they are direct financing, either they are indirect financing, or either they are debt financing, either they're equity financing. So what kind of financing they have, and how the firms on a micro level and then the macro level behave with respect to the financial structure, and how they are linked with the environmental performance, which was one of the objective of this research. Let's come with a theoretical background before going to empirical model and anything. We need to think about conceptual framework based on some theoretical background. So here we will discuss how financial structure link with the environment quality and how financial structure affect the environmental quality. So it can be positive, it can be negative. So financial structure is helpful to increase the environment quality. Another way that degrade the environmental quality. So there are the two kind of theory which have like a corporate finance theory and then trade-off theories. So which is telling us the corporate taxes, corporate advantage, financial distress, our debt expenses of agency can help to enhance the environmental quality. And as we know that the outdated industries, they have more containment of energy demand, and they need more energy demand to increase the more capacity to have a financial obligations. So it's also have a negative impact on that. And for example, if a firm that's not possible, so what will they do? They will go to the public and sell their share to the market and then raise their finances. And in that concern, particularly developing economies, they are using the direct financing. It's not applicable for them. So they need to relate the environmental regulation, and rule is weak due to the underdevelopment. So what does it mean? It means that if an economy is underdeveloped or developing or transition phase, so they don't have the particular aspect to increase the environmental quality, or maybe though they have environmental rule regulation, but they don't have implementation as compared to all the other economies that develop and they have regulation, the abandonment costs, the taxation, so which is helpful to increase the environmental quality. Now the second phase is that most of firms or most of economy, they finances compared to the direct financing. So they want to decline the carbon emission. What does it mean? It means that we have a peaking order theory, which suggests that the firm initially raise the fund internally and afterward externally, and then they utilize their own equity, the nature information, and then they can enhance the ability to implement the environmental regulations. And similar way, we also have another important trades regarding the technological development. The technological development has also two different sources. First, they can be stock market, the research and development. The second, the credit side, or maybe they reduce the energy consumption. And then the reason is that as a consequence of the technological implementation, so we have less energy consumption, and it can enhance our environment quality. Based on all these theoretical framework, we are interested to find out the two objectives. Number one, how financial structure impacting on carbon emission, and secondly, we are interested the response of carbon emission with respect to the digital infrastructure, and does it matter, and how it will affect the financial structure and carbon emission linkage. Based on that, we have used the model developed by Enrich and Harlan, the IPAT model, which is standard stochastic influence by regression on population technology influence. So we are using that model, and based on that model, we have devised the empirical model. The empirical model, here we can see that the CO2 emission is carbon emission, is the proxy of environment quality. And then we have a FS, the financial structure, which is a measure of financial structure using the indirect way. And then we have a GDP, the economy size, and then we have a research and development expenditure, and then we have a population and how it will influence the carbon emission. So here in this equation, CO2 is carbon emission, I and T, I is individuals are the Asian countries, and T is the time series. So we are using the panel data sets model, so we can expect what kind of impact of these variable on environment quality or carbon emission. So here I just want to introduce the data sets. The data sets contain the Asian economy, which are highly polluted economies. It means that these economy are contributing in pollution. So the India, China, Russia, Iran, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Korea, Indonesia, Thailand, and Turkey have been selected based on data availability of sample size. So these are the sample set which we have included in our paper to identify how financial structure and digital infrastructure have an impact on carbon emission. So here we can see our variable, the CO2 is carbon emission. It has been measured in carbon emission ton, then financial structure, stock market, capitalization to GDP is a scale variable, as I described. The financial activity, the stock market turnover is the indirect variable. So these two variables have been used to measure the financial trades. And then we have an internet user, the mobile seller. These two variables have been used to measure the digital infrastructure. And then we have a research and development is also one of the component of technology. And then we have a GDP and population are the controlled variable, which have been used to identify how the variable have impact on carbon emission. So here we have an outcome, the graphical abstract. You can see that the digital infrastructure is really helpful to improve the carbon emission. It means that if we introduce more and more digital infrastructure, so it will help to reduce the carbon emission in highly polluted economies, Asian economies. GDP has a positive impact, mean that the China, India, and the Russia and the other economy they're more in size, they have more production, so they have more impact on carbon emission. The economic growth, their size increases, enhancing the carbon emission. And other side, the population is also is positive sign. The reason is that we in our sample we have highly polluted economies such as China, India. So it means that the more population they need to more population have a more impact on carbon emission. It means that they have more problem to implementation of environmental rule regulation and such kind of this. And here's an interesting impact of research and development. If we are doing more research on production and more development is also increasing carbon emission. So more industry, the expansion of the industry as the financial structure, it's really helpful to reduce the carbon emission. What does it mean? It means that if we increase the financial structure, either is a scale, either is a on the indirect way. So it helps to implement to reduce the carbon emission. So these are the outcome of this research. So let's come with the final verdict, the conclusion. So what did conclude with this study? This study is a basic about the financial structure and digital infrastructure on carbon emission in a highly polluted economies. So for the mathematical econometrical implementation, we have used the ARDL, PMG, pool mean technique, and then we also implement the quantile regression to identify each and every aspect of the quantile, how the variable responding that. Based on our initial ARDL results, the panel ARDL results, they are telling us the infrastructure is very helpful to reduce the carbon emission. And then we also have a find out the mobile user has an insignificant impact, but on the other hand, internet has a negative and significant impact. What does imply? It implies infrastructure has a more use of technology. It means that digitalization or in digital infrastructure increasement, it's really helpful to reduce energy consumption and other aspect. So that's the reason is improving the environment quality in the long run. And what does the quantile regression is telling us? The financial structure is improving the carbon emission quality, or which mean that in every quartile they are increasing the financial structure, which decreases the carbon emission. So when they are going towards the 40th to the 70th quartile, it means that the 4th to the 7th quartile of quantile, so it has a more impact. So overall, we can find out that the digitalization has a improving the carbon emission for the Asian economies. So what does it mean? It means that if we have a better infrastructure, financial infrastructure, and we have more utilization of the digital infrastructure, so it is really helpful to reduce the carbon emission. So I hope you will like this presentation. If there is any query or question, you always welcome to ask. I am always here. Thank you so much once again for providing me this opportunity.